The roar of the crowd hit Marcus like a physical wall as the metal gate slammed shut behind him. Sand stuck to his boots as he walked into the center of the fighting pit. Above him, thousands of alien faces looked down from the circular stands. Most of them had come to see blood. Marcus Chen had been a cargo hauler for 3 years. He moved supplies between colonies and asked no questions about what he carried. 2 weeks ago, that quiet life ended when Kethmara security forces boarded his ship. They found medicine in his cargo hold. Medicine meant for a quarantined human colony that the local government wanted to keep sick. Smuggling, they called it. The fine was more credits than Marcus had ever seen. The only way to pay it off was to fight in their arena until the debt was clear. Fight or rot in prison forever. The gate on the far side of the arena began to rise with a grinding sound. Something big moved in the shadows beyond it. The crowd noise grew louder. High in the VIP section, Zarathes leaned forward in her seat. She was unlike the other aliens around her. Where they cheered and bet on the fights, she watched with the cold focus of a hunter. Her 4 arms rested calmly on the rail in front of her. Her dark chitin armor caught the arena lights. Zarathes was Vaktai. Her people were born warriors. They had fought across a dozen star systems and earned respect through strength and honor. She had come to Kethmara on clan business. Her war leader needed fighters. Good ones. The arena was supposed to be the best place to find them. So far, she had seen nothing impressive. Big aliens beating smaller ones. Creatures with natural weapons tearing apart those without them. No skill, no warrior's heart, just violence. The human will not last long, said the thin administrator beside her. He spoke in broken Vaktai, trying to impress her. Humans are weak. Soft skin. No claws or fangs. This one owes much money. He will die quickly. And the debt will be forgotten. Zarathes said nothing. She had heard of humans but never seen one fight. From what she knew, they were traders and farmers. Peaceful people who avoided conflict. This one looked ordinary enough. Medium height, brown hair, darker skin from working under different suns. He wore simple clothes and carried no weapons. The gate across from Marcus finished opening. What came out made the crowd scream with excitement. The Krolik fighter stood nearly 8 feet tall. Massive shoulders supported arms as thick as tree trunks. Curved tusks jutted from its lower jaw. Its hands ended in claws that could tear metal. Scars covered its hide from dozens of arena victories. The beastman beat its chest and roared. The sound echoed off the arena walls. It had killed 17 opponents in this pit. The crowd loved it. Marcus took a deep breath and started removing his outer shirt. Then his boots. Then the small chain he wore around his neck. He set everything in a neat pile near the wall. What is he doing? The administrator asked. Why does he remove protection? And Zarathes tilted her head. In Vaktai culture, warriors sometimes fought without armor, to show they feared nothing. But humans were supposed to be practical people, not warriors. Why would this one make himself more vulnerable? The Krolik charged with surprising speed for something so big. Its claws reached for Marcus's chest, ready to tear him open and end the fight in seconds. Marcus stepped aside at the last moment. Not far. Just enough. The Krolik's claws whistled past his ribs. Before the big alien could turn around, Marcus grabbed its wrist with both hands. He twisted and dropped to one knee. The Krolik flipped over Marcus's shoulder and crashed into the sand. The crowd went quiet. That was not supposed to happen. The Krolik rolled to its feet, angry now. It charged again, this time more carefully. Marcus backed away, staying just out of reach. When the alien swung its claws, Marcus ducked under them. When it tried to grab him, he slipped to the side. He runs like prey, the administrator said, but he sounded less sure than before. Zarathes watched more carefully. The human was not running. He was studying. Each time the Krolik attacked, the human learned something new about how it moved. Where it was fast, where it was slow, where it was strong and where it might be weak. This was not the behavior of prey. This was the mind of a hunter. The Krolik grew frustrated. It had always won through size and strength. Opponents either died quickly or cowered in fear. This human did neither. The alien began making mistakes, swinging too hard, moving too far, leaving itself open. Marcus saw his chance. When the Krolak raised both arms to smash down on him, Marcus stepped inside its reach. He drove his fist up under the alien's ribs. The punch looked small compared to the Krolak's size, but it hit exactly the right spot. The big alien stumbled backward, gasping. Marcus followed, hitting the same place again and again. Each punch was precise, targeted. The Krolak's breathing became labored. "Impossible," the administrator whispered. "How does he know where to strike?" Zarathes knew. The human had found nerve clusters, pressure points, places where even a small impact could cause great pain or disable an opponent. Her own people studied such things, but it took years to master. This human moved like he had trained his whole life. The fight continued for long minutes. The Krolak still had strength, but Marcus had speed and knowledge. When the alien grabbed for him, Marcus twisted away and struck at joints. When it tried to bite with its tusks, Marcus grabbed its head and used its own weight against it. Slowly, the great beast weakened. Its movements became clumsy, its breathing harsh. Finally, Marcus saw his opening. When the Krolak lunged forward one last time, Marcus stepped to the side and wrapped his arm around the alien's thick neck. His other arm locked the hold in place. The Krolak tried to throw him off, but Marcus held on. The alien's claws scraped at the human's arms, drawing blood. But Marcus did not let go. He squeezed steadily, cutting off the flow of blood to the alien's brain. The Krolak's struggles grew weaker. Its legs shook. Then it collapsed, unconscious. Marcus held the choke for a few more seconds to be sure, then released it. He stood up slowly, breathing hard but alive. The arena was completely silent. Zarathes felt her pulse racing. She had seen something remarkable. A weak creature defeating a strong one through pure skill. No weapons, no armor, just knowledge, determination, and the will to never give up. In the Vak Tai language, there was a phrase for this moment. When a warrior showed such perfect control that they seemed to dance with death itself. Her lips moved without sound as she spoke the ancient words. "That warrior belongs with me." Marcus stood over the unconscious Krolak, sweat and blood mixing on his skin. The arena remained silent for several heartbeats. Then one alien started clapping. Then another. Soon the entire crowd was on their feet, cheering for something they had never seen before. A human had just defeated one of the arena's champions using nothing but his bare hands. Medical drones floated down to check on the Krolak. It was alive, just unconscious. Marcus had been careful about that. In his old life as a soldier, he had learned that sometimes showing mercy was the strongest thing you could do. "Incredible!" The arena announcer's voice boomed across the pit. "The human Marcus Chen has defeated Thok the Destroyer." A stunning victory. Marcus picked up his clothes and boots. His arms stung where the Krolak's claws had scratched him, but the wounds were shallow. He had been lucky. One mistake, and those claws could have opened his throat. As he walked toward the exit gate, Marcus thought about his situation. The fight had earned him some credits, but not nearly enough to pay off his debt. He would have to fight again. And again. Until he either earned enough to buy his freedom, or died trying. The gate slammed shut behind him. Guard drones escorted him through gray metal corridors to the fighter quarters. Other aliens stared as he passed. Word was already spreading about what had happened. High above, Zarathes remained in her seat even as other VIPs began to leave. Her aide, a nervous Kethmari named Vex, stood beside her. "Mistress, shall we return to the ship?" Vex asked. "The administrator wishes to discuss hiring some of the other fighters." "No," Zarathes said quietly. "Arrange a meeting with the human." "The human?" Vex's voice rose in surprise. "But mistress, he is just a debt fighter. Surely one of the professional gladiators would better serve your needs." Zarathes turned to look at her aide. Her dark eyes held a warning. I do not repeat myself, Vex. Of course, mistress. Right away. While Vex scurried off to make arrangements, Zarathes thought about what she had witnessed. In Vaktai culture, strength was everything, but they understood that strength came in many forms. Physical power was just one type. Mental strength was another. The will to continue fighting when everything seemed hopeless was the most precious of all. The human had shown all three. The fighter quarters were basic but clean. Marcus sat on a narrow bed, examining his scratches in the mirror mounted on the wall. They would heal quickly. He had suffered much worse during his military service. A knock came at his door. Come in, Marcus called. Two figures entered. The first was a thin, nervous-looking alien with pale green skin. The second made Marcus stand up immediately. She was clearly a predator. 4 arms, each ending in hands that could tear a person apart. Dark, armor-like skin that looked like it could stop small weapons fire. She moved with the fluid grace of someone who had trained for combat since childhood. But it was her eyes that caught Marcus's attention. They held intelligence, honor, and something else. Respect. I am Zarathes of Clan Morkai, she said in accented but clear human language. You fought well today. Thank you. Marcus replied carefully. He had no idea what this alien wanted, but she was clearly important. I'm Marcus Chen. I know who you are. I also know why you are here. Zarathes stepped closer, studying him like she had studied his fight. Tell me, Marcus Chen, have you always been a warrior? Marcus almost laughed. I'm not a warrior. I'm a cargo hauler who got unlucky. Before that, I was a soldier for a few years. Nothing special. Nothing special. Zarathes tilted her head. You defeated Thok with no weapons, no armor, and no fear. In my culture, we would call that very special indeed. Your culture values fighting, Marcus observed. Mine values peace. Peace is earned through strength. Your people understand this, even if they pretend otherwise. Zarathes gestured toward his scarred arms. These marks did not come from cargo handling. Marcus looked down at the old scars mixed with new scratches. She was right. Most came from his military days. Others from bar fights and dangerous cargo runs. He had spent 3 years trying to live quietly. But trouble seemed to find him anyway. What do you want? He asked directly. I want to offer you something better than dying in this arena for someone else's profit. Zarathes moved to the small window that looked out at the fighter courtyard. My people are at war. We fight against those who would force us to abandon our ways and become weak. We need allies who understand the warrior's path. I told you, I'm not a warrior. Zarathes turned back to him. You say this. Yet you fought today like my clan's greatest champions. You used your enemy's strength against him. You found the weak points in what appeared to be perfect armor. You showed mercy when you could have shown cruelty. These are the marks of a true warrior. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Even if I was interested, I'm stuck here until I pay my debt. That's going to take a long time. Not if someone else pays it for you. That got Marcus's full attention. Why would you do that? Because I have seen what you can do. Because my people respect strength in all its forms. And because... Zarathes paused, as if searching for the right words. Because I believe you are meant for greater things than this place. Marcus studied her face, looking for deception. He saw none. Military training had taught him to read people. And this alien was being completely honest with him. What would I have to do? He asked. Fight beside my clan against our enemies. Help us show the galaxy that warriors cannot be defeated by those who have forgotten how to struggle. In return, you will have a ship, your freedom, and the respect of one of the oldest warrior cultures in known space. It was a tempting offer. Better than slowly dying in the arena. But Marcus had learned to be careful about deals that seemed too good to be true. Let me think about it, he said finally. Zarathes nodded. I will return tomorrow for your answer. But know this, Marcus Chen. She stepped closer, and Marcus could see the absolute certainty in her eyes. I have watched thousands of fighters in my lifetime. I have seen the strong and the weak, the skilled and the clumsy. Today I saw something rare. I saw a warrior who fights not because he loves violence, but because he refuses to surrender. That is the most dangerous kind of fighter in the universe. She turned and left, her aide hurrying after her. Marcus sat back down on his bed, mind racing. For 3 years, he had tried to live a quiet life. Now a warrior alien was offering him a chance to embrace what he had always tried to deny about himself. The question was whether he was ready to stop running from who he really was. Marcus spent the night staring at the ceiling. Sleep would not come. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the Krolik's face as it fell unconscious. He heard the crowd's cheers. He felt the strange satisfaction of a fight won through skill instead of luck. He had not felt that way in years. The next morning brought another fight, this time against a Sectar blade dancer. The crowd expected another upset, but Marcus was more cautious. The blade dancer was fast and skilled. It took everything Marcus had learned about fighting to survive. When it was over, Marcus had won again. Barely. Blood dripped from cuts on his arms and chest as medical drones patched him up. The blade dancer had been better trained than the Krolik. More dangerous. If there had been 2 of them, Marcus would have died. "You are learning," said a familiar voice. Marcus looked up to see Zarathes standing in the doorway of the medical bay. She wore different clothes today. Still armor, but lighter, more decorative. The patterns carved into the dark metal told stories Marcus could not read. "Learning what?" he asked, as a drone sealed a particularly deep cut. "That every fight teaches you something. That no victory is guaranteed. That even the strongest warrior can fall if they become careless." She moved closer, studying his wounds with a professional eye. "Among my people, scars are marks of wisdom. Each one represents a lesson learned in battle. In my culture, scars mean you were not good enough to avoid getting hurt." Zarathes made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your culture has much to learn about the nature of conflict." The medical drone finished its work and floated away. Marcus stood up, testing his movement. Everything worked, but he would be sore for days. "Have you considered my offer?" Zarathes asked. "I have. But first, I need to know more about this war you mentioned. Who are you fighting? Why?" Zarathes gestured toward the door. "Walk with me. I will explain everything." They left the medical bay and moved through the arena's corridors. Other fighters and staff gave them a wide path. Word had spread about Marcus's victories, and about the important alien who had come to see him. "My people, the Vaktai, have fought for honor for 10,000 years, Zarathes began. "We believe that strength through struggle makes a person whole. That facing danger with courage is the highest virtue. That a warrior's worth is measured not by what they take, but by what they protect." They reached a viewing balcony that looked out over the fighter training yards. Below, various aliens practiced with weapons and combat techniques. 3 years ago, a coalition calling itself the Hegemony declared war on what they call primitive violence cultures. They claim we are barbaric, that our ways have no place in a civilized galaxy. They seek to force us to abandon our traditions and adopt their peaceful ways. Marcus frowned. That doesn't sound entirely unreasonable. Peace is generally better than war. Thanks for watching. And to this, peace bought through surrender is not peace. It is slavery. Zarathes's voice hardened. The hegemony does not seek to end violence. They seek to control it. Only their military may carry weapons. Only their police may use force. Everyone else must submit or be destroyed. And you refuse to submit. We refuse to pretend that conflict can be eliminated by wishing it away. The universe is dangerous. Marcus Chen. It contains creatures that kill for pleasure, empires that conquer for greed, and forces that destroy for no reason at all. The hegemony's answer is to hide behind walls and hope nothing finds them. Our answer is to stand ready to fight. Marcus understood better now. It was not about loving violence. It was about accepting that sometimes violence was necessary. What does this have to do with humans? He asked. Zarathus was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. 6 months ago, the hegemony bombed 3 human colonies. The reason given was excessive militaristic tendencies. Your people had the misfortune to produce too many soldiers, too many martial artists, too many individuals who refused to back down from a fight. Marcus felt cold anger building in his chest. They killed civilians because humans are too warlike? They killed civilians because humans represent everything the hegemony fears. A species that can be peaceful but chooses to remain strong. People who will fight when they must, but who do not seek conquest. Your kind proves that warrior cultures do not have to be barbaric. How many died? Marcus asked quietly. 80,000 on Kepler's world, 50,000 on New Texas, 30,000 on Freeman's Rock. Zarathus watched his face carefully. All of them. Families of soldiers, police officers, martial arts teachers, anyone whose profession involved the study of combat. The numbers hit Marcus like physical blows. He had friends on New Texas, fellow veterans who had retired to the agricultural colony to find peace. Now they were dead because they had once been willing to fight. The hegemony claims it was necessary. Zarathus continued. That human military culture was spreading to other species. That your example was encouraging others to resist their authority. And you want me to help you fight back. I want you to help us show the galaxy that the warrior spirit cannot be bombed out of existence. That strength and honor still matter. That some things are worth fighting for, no matter the cost. Marcus leaned against the balcony railing, thinking hard. For 3 years, he had run from conflict. He had tried to pretend that his military training did not matter, that his instincts for violence could be ignored, but the galaxy had not left him alone. It had found him anyway, forced him into an arena, made him fight for his life. And now it was asking him to choose, hide and hope for safety, or stand and fight for something bigger than himself. If I agree to this, what exactly would I be doing? He asked. Training with my clan. Learning our ways as we learn yours. Fighting beside us, against hegemony forces, showing the galaxy that humans and Vaktai share the same understanding of what it means to be a warrior. And in return, your debt will be paid. You will have a ship and the freedom to go where you please. But more than that. Zarathus turned to look directly at him. You will have a family. My clan does not take outsiders lightly. But when we do, they become our blood. Your victories become ours. Your losses become ours. Your honor becomes ours. Marcus had been alone for 3 years. His military unit had disbanded after the war ended. His family was scattered across human space. He had no one to fight for except himself. The offer was tempting for reasons that had nothing to do with credits or starships. There is one more thing you should know, Zarathus said. Yesterday, you fought like a Vaktai warrior. You used your mind instead of just your strength. You showed mercy to a defeated enemy. You faced a superior opponent without fear. In my culture, there is a word for this, Mordhik. It means one who dances with death and makes it beautiful. What are you saying? I am saying that perhaps you were always meant to be one of us. Perhaps your birth among humans was just an accident of fate. Zarathus smiled, and for the first time, Marcus saw genuine warmth in her expression. Perhaps you have finally found where you belong. Marcus looked down at the training yard. Aliens of all kinds practiced combat techniques, preparing for battles to come. Some fought for money, others for glory, a few for revenge. But what was he fighting for? He thought about the dead on those 3 human colonies. About friends who would never see another sunset because they had once worn a uniform. About the choice between hiding from who he was or embracing it completely. All right, he said finally. I'll do it. Zarathus nodded once, as if she had never doubted his answer. Then let us begin your true education, warrior Marcus Chen. You have much to learn about what it means to be Vaktai. And you have much to learn about what it means to be human, Marcus replied. For the first time since his arrest, Marcus smiled. He was no longer alone. 2 weeks later, Marcus floated in zero gravity inside a stolen hegemony transport ship. His new Vaktai armor felt strange against his skin. It was lighter than human military gear but stronger, designed to enhance movement rather than simply protect. Beside him, Zarathes checked her weapons one final time. 4 plasma blades, one in each hand. Traditional Vaktai weapons that required incredible skill to use without cutting yourself apart. Remember, she said through their private comm channel. The hegemony believes their technology makes them superior. They rely on their equipment instead of their training. Use this against them. Understood, Marcus replied. He carried only human weapons, a combat knife, some basic explosives, and his bare hands. The other Vaktai warriors had questioned this choice, but Zarathes had supported him. Their strike team consisted of 6 fighters total, 4 Vaktai warriors, Marcus, and a demolitions expert named Keth who looked like a walking tank. Their mission was simple in concept but deadly in execution. Board a hegemony command cruiser, disable its orbital bombardment system, and escape before the ship's security forces killed them all. Below them, the cruiser hung in space like a metal mountain. 3 miles long and bristling with weapons, it was preparing to bombard a Vaktai colony world. 40 million civilians lived on that planet. If the strike team failed, they would all die. Docking in 30 seconds, announced their pilot. Marcus felt the familiar calm that came before combat. His heart rate slowed. His vision sharpened. The universe narrowed down to simple facts. Mission, team, enemy, survival. The transport shuddered as it attached to the cruiser's hull. Cutting tools began slicing through the armor plating. In moments, they would be inside enemy territory, with no way out except victory. Breach complete, the pilot reported. Zarathes looked at each member of her team. Fight with honor, die with purpose, for the clan. For the clan, the others replied. They dropped through the hole in the hull into a maintenance corridor. Emergency lights flashed red, and alarms wailed in the distance. Their entry had not gone unnoticed. Heavy footsteps echoed from both directions as hegemony security forces closed in. Marcus counted at least 20 soldiers. Maybe more. Each one wore powered armor and carried energy weapons that could burn through their light Vaktai protection. Conventional tactics will not work here, Zarathes said quietly. We need something unexpected. Marcus studied the corridor. Standard ship design, ventilation shafts, power conduits, structural supports. Everything had a weakness, if you knew where to look. Give me your explosives, he told Keth. The big alien looked confused but handed over several charges. Marcus began placing them on specific sections of the ceiling and walls. What are you doing? One of the warriors asked. Something they won't expect, Marcus replied. He finished with the charges and pulled out his knife. When I signal, everyone hit the floor. The first group of hegemony soldiers rounded the corner. 10 figures in bulky armor, moving in perfect formation. Their energy rifles powered up with an electronic whine. Marcus waited until they were directly under his charges, then triggered the explosives. The corridor ceiling collapsed in a shower of metal and sparks. Emergency power failed, plunging everything into darkness. The soldiers' heavy armor, designed to stop energy weapons, became a liability in the cramped space as debris pinned them down. Now, Marcus whispered. The Vaktai moved like shadows in the dark. Their natural night vision and light armor allowed them to navigate the wreckage easily. Plasma blades flashed as they disabled the trapped soldiers with surgical precision. In 30 seconds, the entire enemy squad was unconscious or dead. Impressive, Zarathes said. But more will come. They moved deeper into the ship, following Marcus's mental map of the layout. Twice more, they encountered security forces. Each time, Marcus found ways to turn the ship's own systems against its defenders. In one corridor, he overloaded the artificial gravity, making the soldiers too heavy to move effectively. In another, he rerouted coolant lines to fill a section with freezing mist. blinding their thermal sensors. The Vaktai began to understand his strategy. Instead of fighting superior technology with inferior force, Marcus made the technology work against itself. He turned the cruiser into his weapon. They reached the main computer core without losing anyone. But their luck was about to run out. "Multiple contacts incoming," reported their scout. "At least 30 soldiers, professional military, not security guards." Through the corridor came the elite troops of the hegemony. Enhanced soldiers with cybernetic implants and the best equipment money could buy. Their armor was sleeker, their weapons more advanced. They moved with the confidence of troops who had never lost a battle. "These are different," Zarathus observed. "Our usual tactics will not work." The first exchange of fire proved her right. Vaktai plasma blades could not get close enough to the enemy soldiers to be effective. Their energy rifles had too much range and firepower. One of the warriors took a direct hit and went down hard. Then another. The hegemony forces advanced steadily, their superior equipment giving them every advantage. Marcus watched the firefight with tactical eyes. The enemy was winning through raw firepower and technology, but they were also being predictable. They advanced in formation, used standard military doctrine, trusted their equipment to keep them safe. Time for a human approach to warfare. Marcus slipped away from the main group and began moving through the maintenance shafts. The hegemony soldiers were focused on the Vaktai position ahead of them. They never thought to watch above. Marcus dropped down behind their lines and began his work. The first soldier never knew what hit him. Marcus came from above, landing silently and driving his knife through the gap in the armor at the neck. The second turned just in time to see Marcus's fist coming toward his face. The powered helmet cracked under the impact. Chaos erupted in the enemy formation, as Marcus moved among them like a ghost. He used their own weapons against them, turned their communication systems into confusion, made their advanced armor into a weakness by attacking the joints and power sources. The hegemony soldiers had trained to fight other soldiers. They had not trained to fight someone who ignored all the rules of conventional warfare. When one soldier tried to shoot him, Marcus grabbed the rifle barrel and redirected it toward another enemy. When two soldiers tried to corner him, he triggered an emergency bulkhead that separated them from their unit. When their leader tried to coordinate a response, Marcus cut the power to their communication array. In 5 minutes, Marcus had turned a disciplined military unit into a confused mob. That was when Zarathus and her warriors struck. Plasma blades cut through armor weakened by Marcus's sabotage. Vaktai's speed and skill overwhelmed soldiers, who no longer trusted their equipment. The elite troops of the hegemony fell before an attack they could not understand or counter. When the fighting ended, Zarathus found Marcus sitting against a wall, breathing hard. Blood seeped through his armor from multiple wounds. "You fight like no one I have ever seen," she said, kneeling beside him. "Not like Vaktai. Not like any warrior culture I know." "Human warfare is different," Marcus replied. "We don't fight with honor. We fight to win." "No," Zarathus said quietly. "What you did was the deepest honor of all. You risked your life for people you barely know. You used your strength to protect those who could not protect themselves. That is what true warriors do." Marcus looked at her, seeing something new in her dark eyes. Respect had been there from the beginning. Now there was something more. Understanding. Trust. The beginning of something deeper. "Can you move?" she asked. "We still need to disable the bombardment system." Marcus stood up slowly. "I can move. Let's finish this." They reached the computer core, and Keth began placing his charges. In minutes, the orbital bombardment system would be permanently offline. 40 million lives would be saved. As they prepared to leave, Marcus realized something had changed between him and Zarathus. They had fought together, bled together, risked everything together. They were no longer strangers from different worlds. They were warriors. They were partners. They were family. Marcus woke up in a medical bay that smelled like incense and metal polish. Soft lights revealed walls covered in carved symbols that told the history of Clan Morkai. He was on a Vaktai ship, far from the arena where his new life had begun. His wounds from the cruiser mission had healed, but they would leave scars. Good, he thought. Zarathes had been right about scars being marks of wisdom. "You are awake," said a familiar voice. Zarathes entered the room carrying a bundle wrapped in dark cloth. She moved differently now. Less like a superior addressing a subordinate. More like an equal, greeting an equal. "How long was I unconscious?" Marcus asked, sitting up carefully. 3 days. The medics had to repair damage from energy burns and a cracked rib. "You lost a lot of blood." She set the bundle on the bed beside him. "But you will live. Warriors like you are difficult to kill." Marcus unwrapped the cloth and found a set of Vaktai armor unlike anything he had seen before. Instead of the standard dark metal, this was decorated with intricate silver patterns. The designs seemed to tell a story, though he could not read the meaning. "This is clan armor," Zarathes explained. "It is made specifically for one person and carries their history. Every victory, every important battle, every moment that defines them as a warrior." Marcus ran his fingers over the silver inlay. "Why are you giving this to me?" "Why?" "Because the clan council has voted. You are no longer Marcus Chen, human cargo hauler. You are Marcus Chen Thek, brother warrior of Clan Morkai, the first human ever to receive such an honor." The weight of what she was saying slowly hit him. "Your people accepted me? After one mission? After seeing what you are capable of? After witnessing how you fight not for glory or profit, but to protect others? After understanding that honor comes in many forms, and yours is as valid as any we have known?" Zarathes smiled. "Zarathes. Also, after I explained to them that you had already proven yourself worthy of the name I gave you." "What name?" "Morthek Chenthek. The one who dances with death and makes it beautiful. Brother of the clan." She helped him stand and begin putting on the armor. "It is a name that will be remembered in our history." As the armor settled into place, Marcus felt something change. It was not just clothing or protection. It was identity, belonging, purpose. The mission was successful, Zarathes continued as she checked the armor's fit. The bombardment system was destroyed. 40 million Vaktai civilians live because of what we did. But that is only the beginning. Hours. She led him through the ship's corridors to an observation deck. Through the large windows, Marcus could see dozens of ships floating in space. Vaktai vessels. But also others he recognized. Human cruisers. Alien designs he had never seen before. "What is all this?" he asked. "An alliance. Word has spread about our mission. About a human fighting beside Vaktai warriors. Other species have begun to reach out. They want to know if the stories are true, if there really is a way to stand against the hegemony." On the deck stood a group of beings Marcus had only heard about in stories. Kethmari war priests with their ritual scars. Zephyrian storm riders with their crystalline armor. Takala clan mothers whose people had fought pirates for generations. All of them were staring at him with obvious curiosity. "They came to see the human warrior," Zarathes said quietly. "To understand how someone from a peaceful species could fight with such skill and courage. To learn if their own people could find the same strength." An elderly Vaktai male approached them. His armor was ancient but perfectly maintained, covered in more battle scars than Marcus had ever seen on one person. This had to be someone very important. "War leader Karnthes." Zarathes said formally. "May I present Marcus Chenthek, brother warrior of our clan." The old warrior looked Marcus up and down with sharp eyes. "So this is the human who fights like our ancestors, who uses wisdom instead of strength, mind instead of muscle." He stepped closer. "Tell me, young warrior, why do you fight?" It was clearly a test. Marcus thought carefully before answering. "I fight because someone has to. Because there are people who cannot protect themselves. Because sometimes the only choice is to stand up or watch the universe burn." He met the war leader's gaze. "I fight because it is right." Karnthes nodded slowly. "Good answer. Simple. Honest. No grand speeches about honor or glory. He turned to address the other aliens. This is what we have forgotten, my friends. Fighting is not about being the strongest or the most skilled. It is about being willing to act when others will not. A Kethmari priest stepped forward. Our younglings grow soft in peaceful times. They forget the old ways. Perhaps this human can teach them to remember. My people face the same problem, added a Takala clan mother. We have wealth and comfort now. Our warriors lose their edge. But seeing this one fight, she gestured toward Marcus. John Wan. Trivon. She gestured toward Marcus. It reminds us why we learned to fight in the first place. Over the following hours, Marcus found himself at the center of discussions about warfare, honor, and the nature of strength. Each species had their own traditions, their own understanding of what it meant to be a warrior, but they all recognized something in his approach that resonated with their deepest values. Later, when the other delegates had returned to their ships, Marcus and Zarathes stood alone on the observation deck. You realize what has happened here? She asked. I think so. These species are going to work together against the hegemony. More than that, they are going to learn from each other, share techniques, combine different approaches to warfare. Zarathes looked out at the assembled fleet, and at the center of it all will be a human who proves that strength comes from the heart, not the body. Marcus was quiet for a moment. 6 months ago, I was just trying to live peacefully. Now I'm apparently the symbol of some kind of warrior renaissance. Do you regret it? Marcus considered the question seriously. His old life had been safe but empty, lonely, meaningless. Now he had purpose, family, and the chance to make a real difference in the galaxy. No, he said finally. I don't regret it. Good. Because this is only the beginning. Zarathes activated a holographic display showing star charts. Hegemony forces are mobilizing for a major offensive. They plan to crush all resistance within the year. We need to be ready. What do you need me to do? Help me build something new. Not just Vaktai warriors or human soldiers, but a combined force that uses the best of all our traditions. Teach other humans what you have learned. Learn from other species what they can offer. Show the galaxy that diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. Marcus studied the star charts, already beginning to think tactically about the challenges ahead. It would not be easy. The hegemony had superior numbers and technology, but they also had a weakness. They believed their way was the only way. The Alliance would prove them wrong. There's one thing I need to know, Marcus said. That first day in the arena, when you decided I was worth recruiting, what made you so certain? Zarathes was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice held a note of something Marcus had not heard from her before. Vulnerability. I was not certain. I was hopeful. She turned to face him fully. My people have always valued strength, but we had begun to believe that strength meant being born with natural weapons and armor, that only predator species could be true warriors. You proved that wrong. How? By showing us that the strongest weapon is the mind, that the best armor is determination, that a warrior's worth is not measured by what they are born with, but by what they choose to do with their life. She smiled. You reminded us of who we used to be, before we became arrogant about our gifts. Marcus understood now. It was not just about him joining the Vaktai. It was about both species learning from each other, growing stronger together than either could be alone. So what happens next? He asked. Next, we fight. But not as separate peoples defending separate traditions. We fight as allies who understand that honor comes in many forms, but always leads to the same place. Zarathes gestured toward the assembled fleet. We fight as family. Marcus looked out at the ships gathering for war and felt something he had not experienced since his military days. He felt like he was exactly where he belonged, doing exactly what he was meant to do. The arena on Kethmara seemed like a lifetime ago. The frightened cargo hauler who had entered that fighting pit was gone. In his place stood Marcus Chenthek, brother warrior of Clan Morkai. human ambassador to the warrior cultures of the galaxy. He had found his place in the universe. More importantly, he had found his family, and together, they would show the hegemony that some things could never be conquered. The spirit of those who refused to surrender. The bond between warriors who fought for something greater than themselves, and the simple truth that courage was not about being born strong. Courage was about choosing to stand when standing was hard. The war was just beginning. But for the first time since it started, the outcome was not certain. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you tried to crush the warrior spirit. It fought back.